Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you're enjoying your lunch. We're delighted for the sponsorship of the lunch and as our premier sponsor, Tremor Video. And when I asked, Melinda McLaughlin is going to be our presenter. When I asked what her title was, her associate Randy Kilgore just said, "Just say she's terrific." And so she's terrific. She's the Chief Marketing Officer, in fact, of Tremor Video, and she's going to give us a presentation over lunch.
Yay! Thank you, Ken. Is this working? So thank you, Ken. I want to definitely thank the organization for putting this amazing opportunity together. Beautiful area. It's so much nicer to be among a small group than to be in one of those big conferences where everybody is, you know, swarming around every marketer in the room, and hopefully we're not doing that to you guys. It's fascinating to listen to, and it's fascinating to listen to many of our peers in the space, all listed here. You know, we all, I think, wake up every morning with a real purpose, which is that we believe the world of brand marketing can and will be just that much more exciting in the years ahead. And while it's really hard right now, and marketers are struggling, and agencies are struggling, and we're struggling, and we're all saying the same thing, and we don't have standard metrics, there's a belief, I think, and what I believe is kind of a universal truth, that we're all going to get to a better place, and we're going to look back and we're in advertising at a time that has never been like this before and never will be again. And so we're really excited. And I would ask you now, while you're eating, and please enjoy your food, to forget that I'm a sponsor, because we're not here to talk about Tremor Video, though we believe really strongly in what we do every day. And so hopefully I'll just sort of share with you some inspiration around how to think about things a little differently, and how to finally believe, after what has been, I think, about 10 years of kind of chaos in the market, that there actually are really big partners who can really make a difference in the middle of the funnel, where I think we're all struggling with the hearts and minds of consumers in control. There are partners like us, and like probably everyone on this list, who can make technology do incredible things without you needing to actually understand how the algorithm works. And if you can find those trusted partners, let's get back to the real basics of advertising, and that's what I'm going to talk about here. We gave this a version of this presentation in Cannes last week, which was my first and is a bizarre, ridiculous experience, but really finding that it's resonating with marketers as we get back to just the basics of what we all got into this business for in the first place. So I'm going to start with a video. If you would click and roll the next slide.
Take a small step to my, no, okay, let's see.
And inhale, chest to the heavens, oh, and into our cat.
Hi, do you want some coffee?
Okay.
That's good. I know, right? They're almost dead.
You do. Exhale.
Hear me? Oh man, I've never seen something like this.
Super pre-roll units. And the prevailing wisdom, I think, in our business, or at least I remember a few years back, was that brand advertising for real branding would never move online until it could make people laugh and cry. And I think, as we're seeing in both the Aura Brush and everything else we're talking about, I can tell you laughing and crying and being moved online is very much alive and well. And we find that it comes back to the power of sight, sound, and motion, but then also touch. And so on that ad, you saw that if it tickled your fancy or you found it entertaining, we're able to very seamlessly, in an opt-in experience, have that viewer be able to experience several of those executions, all of which are funny. And you know, it's just a little moment in their day right before they're there to do whatever it is they called up content, the content they wanted to see. But it was an interesting, intimate, very relevant moment in their lives. And I'll show you some more examples, because mostly this is just fun stuff to look at than it is actual slides. Not sure, well, that's me, and that's an error message. Not sure how many of you know deeply about Tremor Video, but this kind of sums up why we get up out of bed every morning, is that, you know, we believe we're in the business of making brand ads people love. And that's interesting because, you know, generally people will say they don't like advertising. I think we believe that people spend, you know, a lot of time and energy trying to avoid advertising, and how can we make it tolerable? And when we've talked about ads that people love, it tends to be about the creative, like Seattle's Best or the Aura Brush videos. And very much that's a huge part of it, and there's a real art to making ads people love from a creative standpoint. Interestingly, and a consumer isn't going to express this, but there's an amazing thing happening with technology that allows the selection of that perfect ad for that perfect moment. And when right place, right time comes together, it actually becomes not just a creative ad someone loves. It might be a very scientific and informational type video ad, but because it was for them, it was great. And it transcended for that second being an ad, and it just was a little part of their day that added something to their life, whether they're investigating a car to buy or whatever it might be. And so being in the business of brand ads that people love, it kind of gets us back to the basics of thinking about right place, right time, right message. And you know, I thought it might be helpful, since it's lunchtime, listening this morning, I was very inspired by everybody that talked. And so I'm going to sort of use my notes and go back to things that we all heard from various people, because it kind of struck me as everything that I was going to talk about. And so maybe it'll help us sum up the first morning of great content. But it started with Bob talking, and I don't know that he's here. I think he had to go do something. But Bob's conversation was just so interesting to me. And as a marketer and a CMO who struggles with the same things a CMO at a consumer company works with, is that you have to remember who your essential self is. You know, and you have to kind of think about, what do I do every day, and why does Tremor Video matter, and why should it matter, and how does it help a marketer do what they do? And it comes back to what I've just talked about, which is remembering that there are humans that are just like you and I on the other side of all that technology, and that if we can just take great messages and get them to the right person, then we can create ad effectiveness. And then he talked about firms of endearment and mission statements. And you saw our mission statement, and I'll get back into it. But we have defined our purpose, and we have thought about what our essential reason for being in this world of advertising is. And it's to bring the certainty of science to the art of brand marketing. And it's really important to understand that, because you know, we truly believe that brand marketing will continue to be an art, very much a craft that involves intuition and emotion and ego, but that science just can make it a little bit that much more certain, or that much more informed. And if you think about it, I mean, there's no word video in that mission. There's no word about advertising. It's just about sort of what science can do. And so I'll quote Julie from DataZoo, who said that there are sexy data scientists now. So I think we firmly believe that it's incredibly sexy to understand science, really hard sometimes, but incredibly amazing at what you can do if you listen carefully. And then Bob also talked about sort of what's sustaining in the advertising world now. And I think for us, it comes back to the only sustainable proposition is to be transparent, be effective, show results, show increases in brand health. And if we do that, it's a sustainable partnership with the advertising community. And if you're not getting that, then you should ask the right questions, and it won't be very sustainable. Go ahead and, I'm clicking. I don't have to tell you to click. So it's interesting if you think about the old world. It used to be really kind of easy now in retrospect. I'll talk about television advertising. it was essentially the goal was to get you to freeze. It was actually to get you to not move your hand, not move yourself to the bathroom, not move anything. It was very much about stopping you in your tracks and asking you to hold it right there and pull you into that message. And so it was the job of the creative, completely around the creative, to relate to you, to make you laugh, cry, somehow build a brand perception and have you believe that brand is better than the other one that you can buy. It's still very much about that in TV, and TV is incredibly powerful for its ability to drive awareness and to get creative. But it's gotten like as creative as it can get inside that box, and that's, you know, got a purpose in life. Now we're in the business of actually asking someone to move in the right way. So if we can get, and I'm going to show you, the results are on your table as well, but we talk a lot about engagement at our company, and it's because of the scientific proof of its value for branding, which is that if you can get them to move, so now someone's sitting there in that moment with their screen, and if you get them to move, and it's, for us, it's a rollover into an invitation to dive deeper into that story, huge things happen for brand metrics, and it's provable, and it's scientific, and it's something that we do every day. And because we can optimize to that in real time and drive mid-funnel metrics, we can suddenly, I think, it's actually the first time that a new mass media vehicle that's measurable has been created that can actually, the currency can become brand metrics. That's never existed before on a mass scale. We need standardization and all of that, but it will come, and it will be a really exciting thing for brand marketers. But it requires us to think differently, and we define creativity at our company as just solving something. It's actually from, I forget the guy's name, but way back, someone, I think a French guy, wrote this definition of creativity, and we very much believe it's right. I mean, we are up against so many challenges in our market, from how we do media planning, communications planning, create actual, you know, video ads, sight, sound, and motion ads, and then add touch into those and the invitation to touch. And solving things in a novel way, it's never been more important to do that. And so we think, you know, a lot of companies, most of which are here, are really trying to take the opportunity in all this now that we've gotten through a few years of sort of a bit of chaos in the industry. And so I always like to start with things that actually, not everything has to be thrown out and zero-based. There are a lot of fundamental truths, and please, someone here argue if you disagree with this, but there are a few things that are really important from the start. One is that video is hugely powerful for branding. Whatever form of video, when you add sight, sound, and motion, you emotionally connect with people. And it is the most powerful way to tell a brand story and emotionally connect. Doesn't mean other media aren't important. I personally love print and still very much read my favorite magazines, and it matters. But there's nothing like storytelling, like a film or a movie or a piece of video clip that can actually touch you and make you cry or laugh or be informed. The other thing I think we believe is true no matter what company you work at is that people love video. I mean, I'm not going to show you the stats because, like, we've all seen them 1,000 times, but people are consuming and wanting and creating video everywhere now. Creates a nightmare for all of us, but an incredible opportunity for all of us as well. And so, you know, the ability for us to be able to reach people in all those touch points is critical because the jury is not out anymore. People love video, and they want it cascading onto any screen at any time and any moment they want it, and they love to create in that form as well. And we can harness that in the ways you've been hearing about all morning. The other thing that we believe is true, and I think is hard to argue with, is that if someone spends more time with your ad, it's always better. And I say, you know, even if they think it's so horrible that they keep rewinding their DVR to watch the ad over and over, that's probably good, I guess. I mean, hopefully none of us have that experience with our own brands, but the more time is better. So how about I sell you, in a sense, a 30-second ad, which, you know, is a typical form of video advertising, but you only pay if I get you like 60 seconds worth of time with that. Kind of hard to argue with that, although we now don't really have to debate. We actually have scientific proof that more time is better. And I don't think that's hard to imagine. The hard part is getting someone to spend more time, is being creative enough and delivering it in a relevant way so that actually you see that increased time spent, which then becomes really effective on lifting brand health metrics. everyone's spending a ton of more time on every screen. So, you know, this happens to come out of research we just did with Magid that was released a couple weeks ago, but nothing shocking, just continued validation that people will spend time with video on every screen they have as much as they can. And we're seeing that in the, you know, I think we looked at roughly 3.5 billion video streams in the first quarter. We sit over that much inventory. And so obviously the biggest focus group in the world relative to the earlier conversation is happening every day. And we can see that and react to it. And it's pretty amazing. So I want to inspire you with a video now. So if this is creativity in a box, right? And all of you have gotten, anyone doing television advertising, it's gotten incredibly creative in the limits of that set. We've gotten, and I just came from the TV world for a decade, and before that in the ad agency world, gotten so good at knowing every millisecond of how to hold someone's attention. You can track minute-by-minute ratings if you work with Nielsen. You can understand what works in 30 seconds or 60 seconds. To get somebody to finish that ad. And so all the innovation happening there is incremental in a sense. I mean, how much more creative can you get? It's there, and we've perfected it, and the best marketers in this country know, and around the world, know how to make that 30 seconds matter. But what happens when you unleash that from the TV set, as we define it, and with still limitations, because without it, we don't know how to create. Creativity needs restrictions, or it just ends up like you're paralyzed. What if you unleash that out of the box and allow that invitation to do more, and work with partners who can understand and teach you best practices in what people are actually doing every second of every day across in all their digital activity, and it starts to get exciting. So take a look at these two ads, and I'll ask you to play, and I'll ask any marketer in the room certainly to think about which would you rather pay for. Would you rather pay for what happens on the left, or would you rather only pay when what happens on the right happens? So go ahead and play.
On average, it costs about $1.50 a day to run the Volt on pure electricity. Electricity that can come from any standard household outlet. Cleaner energy to power some remarkable technology. Technology not just for the sake of... You don't have to be sitting behind the wheel to remain in command of your Volt. You don't have... Let's just get this out of the way right now. The Volt can be
like you
your
can share,
own
you can do all those things that, you know,
one
we
that
all
makes that long commute
have perfected at this
that
point
gets you to
after,
that out-of-town meeting.
at the point that we are in the industry.
secluded
So
weekend
we, you know, we live every day. We can sell awareness, we can sell pre-roll, we can do all of that with our iShut, and we happily do that, and it's wonderful. But when you get to the mid-funnel metrics, we focus primarily in our innovation and in our product roadmap around making that happen, helping our partners understand how to creatively inspire a viewer and delivering to the right viewer so that they actually enter into that little story in the stream, never leaving, content's waiting for them. And that happens, because when that happens, and I think I have this actually later in the presentation, but when that happens, you actually have what's on your tables there that we analyze all our campaigns and continue to build norms and benchmarks, and you see a 4% lift in intent to buy or favorability or other mid-funnel metrics when someone touches it. Our average time spent with a 30 like the Chevy Volt pre-roll is 51 to 60 seconds once someone engages. So really powerful. We're learning every day. Those norms will continue across all the categories we work with to further illuminate for you guys how to value and how to understand engagement, where it's right, where you should really just buy awareness. And you know, we help our partners do that. So some fun stuff. I'm going to show you some things and tell you what we saw. So if you would click, I believe there's a video next. see just through the interaction happening that once somebody engages and it catches their attention and they can look through the lookbook, they can do other things. This ad in particular for PacSun, I believe, got like 2 times as long time spent as other ads in the category. So again, more time is always better. Go ahead and play the next one, which is Geico, always a favorite of mine.
Let's start with car insurance X. This one does save people a lot of money. It is very. We're going to start out with the one we're calling X. Now, this car insurance is very friendly. They offer excellent service. We have 2 car insurances that we're going to have you taste. The first one we're going to call X. Go ahead and take a sip, and then let me know. I have 2 products in front of you, and we're going to start with product X. This is a very affordable product that will help save you a lot of money. I have 2 car insurances in front of you here. Let's start with car insurance X. 4 million people switched to that car insurance alone.
So when I recorded my interaction, I did it way quicker than a viewer would. But you know, those are really funny ads. You should go find them on YouTube or come to our ad lab on tremorvideo.com. But really funny ads. And then they had 4 executions. And when I first saw it, I watched each one because each one made me chuckle. It was so ridiculous. It was like a taste test and whatever. But what we saw there is that for that 30-second pre-roll, we were getting 60 seconds of time spent as people explored other things. And in fact saw 2-time lift in favorability for Geico. And so things like that are really exciting because suddenly while GRPs are really important and they're integrated into our platform and we think they're an incredibly foundational bridge between sort of traditional into digital, things like brand metrics and measurable lift in brand get really exciting. So that where GRPs are sort of the end point of television, they're the beginning point of online, and then we can go deeper into measure things that help you understand ROI, though I hate that word as much as every other CMO in the room, and understand, you know, how actual brand metric lift can be affected by your media activity, at least in the area that it's possible to measure that in. And just quickly, the next one is actually from Germany, Audi. I just love how it looks. It's very rich. It's taking their TV and all their assets and really creating an experience for somebody interested in Audi.
One little thing occurred to me, something about life's brevity. I made a plan to remedy this.
German, but I'm going to guess it was like find out more, see a map, and we're seeing again double the time spent with that ad, and all of those advertisers are only paying when that engagement happens. So if our technology doesn't work, we'd kind of be out of business at this point. We know how to get people to engage because of the delivery. We know how to create massively creative ad units with our marketers' assets and all of their vision, all of their approval, so that we actually find the best of both worlds, putting it out there in a way that's very much related to their TV efforts, if they're in fact doing TV, but then allows that deeper experience, because that's really what we're all here trying to figure out. Go ahead and click. Oh, that's me now. I'm back to being in control. So, you know, I would argue or challenge all of us to think about how to get this two-way conversation going. We've been talking about it all morning. It is possible. It's possible at scale. If we really do this right, I think the next kind of chapter of our advertising industry is going to be the greatest. And I think what's up next, if you have to see that clever, did you see that clever title of the book? 50 Shades of Video? Enough said. So the next chapter, we think, is really about taking that video, which very much might start as a TV ad, as we all know it and love it, and getting outside of that and understanding how to get people to touch it and then dive deeper. Because once that touch happens, magic really does happen for brands, and it's magic you can see in real time and understand and apply back to everything else that you are doing. And so it's going to require us to like see things in a weird way. I still can't process this picture, but so creativity, and I think it was Gary from Lenovo mentioned on the panel that like it's a whole new animal now. I mean, we still have TV, we still have print, we still have all the creative we know, but this beast online shouldn't just be an iteration of something that you tweak. It really should be thought about differently. It's very different to get someone in a moment, in a personal one-to-one moment, to touch your brand story. There's a whole nother creative bar for that. And we think it's an exciting next chapter. And it's hard. I don't need to go through these stats. We're all struggling with how to make the ads, how to put the ads in the right places, how to get scaled, and how to measure how they work. We try to make that easier for brands. We try to help make it actually not painful and really cool, because when you see the insights and you see them in real time and there are things you might not have known to add to everything you already do know, it gets pretty exciting. And as you know, I mean, I don't need to keep hitting the nail on the head, that consumers went in that moment on their computer, on their phone, on their tablet, on their connected TV, Roku box, when they have that moment of that video playing and they decide to interact with it, their expectations are really different. And if it doesn't meet their expectations, like over and out. And that's a really, really exciting creative challenge for all of us. And it's going to take collaboration. And interestingly, you know, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have thought of a media partner, hate the vendor word, but a media partner being the hub for you. But as we listen to the struggles of having marketers with so many agencies, and while we don't fancy ourselves, you know, being the ones that can sort of handle that collaboration for everything, when it comes to how to think about TV creative and really neat interactive creative, we're finding ourselves often as the hub between all of those entities, if only from starting the process of gathering assets of what exists where, so that we can make an ad that's going to garner engagement. And so we see ourselves so often now being put into the sort of collaboration centerpiece for marketers who have many agencies they're dealing with. You know, the digital media shop might not be the same as the digital creative shop, and then TV guys are saying, what do you need from me to make that thing? And, you know, so it's actually kind of a really cool spot to be in, because it helps us to kind of, we like to end up with an amazing creative product, and that's how it happens in the best way. And it's really important to collaborate, because obviously everything is now moving across screens, and there are different intricacies around how you get someone to touch a tablet versus how you handle video on a mobile phone, which has maybe different expectations for the consumer. And we would ask you to think about, they're all kind, you know, if I said the word engagement, you probably all roll your eyes, because we all talk about it in different ways. We like to kind of get back to the basics, which is the last one. You know, someone touching your ad is probably more meaningful than them not skipping it. And not that that isn't an interesting way to think about buying video from one of our competitors, but it's not engagement yet. It's still a proxy. You know, so much of our business has been proxies. We like to, and even like seeing your ad, that's kind of the television model. Well, what about seeing all of your ad? That gets kind of interesting, because in digital we know that a video was completed, but we really live to get someone to touch it, because when they do, your brand benefits. I'm going to skip this because my time's actually on 0. Oh, what a segue. So time spent is really important to us. Here's the basics, like right time, right message, get people to spend more seconds with your brand, and it's all going to be a good thing. But don't just believe me. I keep doing that. You can read your thing on your beautiful watering can thing. So viewers complete an ad, it's great, but when they touch it, the plant grows even bigger. Infographic. So keep your eye on engagement. Keep your eye on like right time, right place. Here's the most important part though, and it switches to blue, because our enterprise division of our company really doesn't care whether Tremor Video, the media network, you know, is the be-all, end-all or not, but it says, you know what, you need to understand how you've moved them across everything you're doing. So we encourage you very much to measure everything you can possibly measure about whether you're moving that person to move or not. And so in our Video Hub platform, we measure everything from, you know, everything that's measurable, we read, and we illuminate our marketer partners in ways that I think they find surprisingly really fun. It is not about spewing big data. It's actually about illuminating insights. So we have GRPs built into our platform, and I won't take you through what this means, but it's really cool to understand the correlations or not between your TV GRPs and your online GRPs. We have an integration with Nielsen's OCR product. Viewability, this is huge. I'm not sure everyone realizes this yet, but you know, you have to be seen if your ad's going to work. And this is really complex technology, I'm told, by our CTO. Could not even begin to explain how hard it is to actually track viewability on all of these screens. And so now in our platform for every partner, we provide viewability, and that's just showing you the page. Think of that as the page, 84% of the ads being smack in the middle, most of it being all viewable, very little non-viewable. Very important sort of accountability metric that we encourage you to ask a lot about in the world of video, especially in digital form. This is just cool, so I'll kind of end with this, I think. But so we have a proprietary in-stream one-question survey technology that allows us to understand a person's brand preference in the moment and adjust the campaign on the fly. Very much similar to, someone mentioned Vizu's work in this area as well. Ours is happening, it's not a reporting tool to go back and say, here's your brand lift. It's actually fueling our technology to deliver the stuff that's on that page on your, on your table. So here's a Toyota campaign that goes out, or actually, let's say this was a Ford Fusion, no, I'm sorry. So Toyota campaign goes out. We find all these people who said, let's say it wasn't checked yet, right? So they're picking Ford Fusion, and they're saying that's the one that fits my our lifestyle. Toyota's KPI is to switch those hearts and minds. And so our technology is saying, whoa, I got someone who picked Ford Fusion. I'm now going to find millions of people like that and serve them the Toyota campaign, so that I'm going to start to see over time more people saying Toyota matters to me who saw that ad campaign. It's your typical exposed and control. And so we see things like this, where this is how it looked before the campaign start, and then we see in real time the Toyota sort of brand preference happening across the country in this case, and we do track it that way. And it's really exciting stuff to watch in real time and be able to understand how things are changing based on ad exposure. Obviously, we have really cool stuff happening that makes all that happen. And, oh, did I just freeze it? And so I just want to kind of end on why we get up every day and what our essential purpose for existing is. And it really is to bring all that really neat stuff about science to something that will always be about humans and about art and about affecting the hearts and minds of people, which, you know, if it was a science, we wouldn't be here. It would be easy. It would be being done by machines. We just find the really amazing things happen at the collision where science and art come together. And encourage you to, you know, reach out if you want to understand more about our science and art collision, and enjoy the rest of the time here. Any questions, or you want to maybe keep eating?
Anyone have any questions for Melinda? And Melinda, you have a team here. I think Randy is here. And
I have
Tom,
a team
your
of
senior
one.
group is here, so there's Randy Kilgore right there. And Tom, can you raise your hand as well?
Who's Tom?
You're done. You're not with them?
He's not on my team.
Okay.
He's a nice guy.
Sorry about that. Okay. So any questions for Melinda? All right. Well, Melinda,
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank
big
you.
hand. And by the way, just anecdotally speaking, I was having drinks with a brand that's here at this conference, and they were singing Tremor's praises last night. So I won't say who. Unless you ask me quietly later, I'll tell you who, just so you know. But that is truth, and all this thing she has to say is there's an element of truth to it. So please seek out Randy and well, yeah, it's true. Seek out Randy and Melinda, and thank you again for lunch, you guys, and a great presentation. A quick housekeeping notes here, just very quickly. The shuttle buses for the 3 activities today will leave at 2:15 right out front here. If you're golfing, I sent you an email just a few minutes ago just to tell you where your tee times are, and we'll be giving you a ride out to the golf course. Again, we'll leave at 2:15 sharp. There's 1 spot left on golf, so if someone wants to play, let me know. We can squeeze you in. And we also have, if you were on a waiting list for the skeet shooting, you are in. So definitely plan on doing